Blog Talk Radio.
Om Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Om Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. Om Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Om Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. And I am the light within your soul. In the essence of truth and right, love makes the circle whole. And here we stand in line, waiting for some sacred sign. But to find the balance is the purpose of this time. To restore the balance of the universal mind. And in the presence of my Lord of light and love, everything I see aspiring to be free. And when I call to thee, and come on bended knee, surrender to the all-pervading light and love. Reflections of the one surrounding me with love. And I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. Within and without, above and below, yeah. East, west, north and south, I sense your presence. Without and within, below and above, yeah, yeah. East, west, north and south, I sense your presence. I sense your presence. Presence of my Lord of light and love, everything I find in tune with the divine. And here we stand in line, waiting for some sacred sign. But to find the balance is the purpose of this time. To restore the balance of the universal mind. And I am the light within your soul. In the essence of truth and right, love makes the circle whole. And when I call to thee, and come on bended knee, surrender to the all-pervading light and love. Reflections of the one surrounding me with love. For to find the balance is the purpose of this time. To restore the balance of the universal mind. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. Om Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Om Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. Om Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Om Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. Om Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Om Shabbat Shalom, holy angel of the Most High. Om Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. I sense your presence.
Thank you for joining me here tonight on Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour. My name is Jessie Ann Nichols George, and I am your hostess. The music you were listening to at the beginning of the show is I Sense Your Presence. It's by Shemshai. Some of you have heard before. They're a band that I met in Arizona when they were just getting started, and of course they're just worldwide now, cutting CDs and releasing music. And you can find out more about their work if you'd like to at www.shemshai.com, and that's SHIMSHAI. And I just want to say welcome, whether you're joining us here for the first time or whether you've listened to the show before. I see a couple of people in the chat area that have been in on the show before, so it's great to have you here. Here at Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour, I look at different ways that compassion exists in our lives, how to remove our blocks, resistances, frustrations, and more. Some weeks I am discussing different aspects of how compassion is in our life, how it affects our life, and the different areas of compassion. And then some weeks I'm doing more exercises, practical implementations, and a lot of times, like this year, I've got guests lined up all throughout the year, which are just a fantastic lineup of people sharing their expertise, and it gives you a chance to see how other people's work and other things complement and work with compassion. Now, I also have times where I've got different musical artists that I'm highlighting along the way. Earlier this year, I had Stephen Halpern. I also had Jill Mattson on earlier. Had Claire Hedin on at the very end of last year. I've got Peter Cater coming on next week, 7-time Grammy nominee. So I'm very, very excited about that show coming up as well. And also, there's just different nights where we've got different things coming, where you can just get different experiences. So it's a great opportunity here at this show, Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour. And also in my own private work, for those of you that wonder what I'm doing, I focus on helping people find and use compassion in their everyday lives. And I've created the Genesis Clearing Statement, which some of you have experienced on previous shows. And if you missed that, actually, there's a great archive show where Kevin Baird, one of our other hosts, interviewed me around September of last year. You can go back in and listen to that archive, and it's got us using the Genesis Clearing Statement on that show. I've also authored 2 books titled Activating Compassion and also Activating Compassion, the Workbook, and soon we'll be releasing my next set of books based on relationships. In addition, I've created the Compassion Tour, which is a multi-state nationwide tour, which includes workshops, retreats, seminars, book signings, and fundraising events. And seeing what I can get put together here for the fall time, so we'll see what comes together. I do know I'll be speaking at the Matriarch Gathering in near Durango, Colorado, the first weekend of October, so I'll keep you informed on what's going on there. And you can follow up on all the events there are to register for on the Compassion Tour that I have going on at JessieAnnNicholsGeorge.eventbrite.com. And there's also an option there that's called Gifting the Tour, so maybe you can't attend an event, but you'd like to help me get out to some of the fundraising events. You can certainly support the work there, and that just allows you to gift in whatever amount that you choose. Now, just a reminder, if you enjoy this show tonight, make certain that you tell your friends and family, significant others, share it on your social media there, or anybody else that you feel inspired to share it with, because they can come right back into this same link and listen to it at their convenience in the archives, which are available immediately after the show. So that's very useful. And they just, again, use the same link to come in. They can also go to my webpage at JessieAnnNicholsGeorge1, that's the number 1.com. We have all the shows, not only for Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour, but all of the Main Street Universe shows are on my website there. And also on Facebook.com/ActivatingCompassion/notes. So those are also areas that they can access the archived shows as well. Now, before we get started, as those of you that have been in on the show before know, I like to delve into the 72 Names of God by Yehuda Berg. And I like Yehuda's work so much because he's just very down to earth. He takes those big concepts, puts them into everyday life, same kind of style that I like to use with things as well. And what I do for those of you that haven't listened to the show before is I open up randomly into this book, and of course, it's always got a great fitting message somehow. It always applies, always comes in. And this message, by the way, is posted on my Jessie Ann Nichols George page under the Main Street Universe tab on my webpage. And so you can always go back and read the message there as well. So let's see what Yehuda has for us tonight. And the message here, or the Word of God that we're dealing with tonight, is called Dumping Depression. And the message that he has that goes with this is, life is fraught with obstacles and tests that sometimes knock us off our feet. When we do lose our balance and fall flat on our faces, it's important to stand up again rather than to sink into doubt and depression and dust ourselves off. Now, the insight that he gives with this goes like this. Ascending the spiritual ladder requires far more greatness and strength than conquering nations, building empires, or attaining great wealth. The negative forces, for example, our ego, that dwell in the world use a two-step plan against us. They, 1, make us fall, and 2, keep us down through feelings of guilt and depression over our setbacks. Getting up again generates greater spiritual light in the world than if we had never fallen in the first place. The fact that we fell is not what's important. True greatness lies in the act of rising again. But depression is an alluring emotional state. In point of fact, it's downright tempting, for it, too, arouses energy within a downhearted individual. But the nature of this energy is negative and innocuous, whereas the spiritual energy of the light is positive and transformational. When we rise out of our depression with the intent to reveal light into the world, positive energy envelops us, bringing great blessings and untold joy to all existence. So this is a really good thing, because I've noticed a lot of people around that have come to me recently, like over the last couple of weeks, last month or so in particular, have been dealing with this very thing. They felt knocked down. They felt off their feet. They felt like they've exhausted every opportunity they could. And yet all we need to do is to keep getting back up again, keep getting back up again. And that's going to bring that light out. Now, the meditation that Yehuda provides is the emotional strength to stand after you stumble, to rise after you fall, and to endure when the path seems unendurable is bestowed upon you. So think about that. When you're down, when you're feeling a little beat up out there, just picture yourself getting back up again and getting back on your feet. You're going to do it. Now, as we delve into our topic tonight, I'll share a little bit about where we're at with things. Scientists have been studying DNA for many years, learning about how our physical characteristics are coded within it. And some claim it to be such a precise science that we can even determine from what and when we will pass from this world. Some say that only minute changes can happen in DNA, and then other people say that our DNA can be changed through our thoughts, our diet, environment, and so on. Now, I find this really interesting as a concept and an idea to explore, because the thought that our DNA can very likely show us about more than just physical characteristics such as our personality or ability to cope with things, or assets or challenges, and how much we will exercise free will into our lives. I mean, there's so many pieces to this DNA aspect. But can it also show us our best areas to focus our energy, our life path or work, how we relate to the world, and how we will receive from the world? Stephen Cuoco includes some of these very concepts in the work that he does. He blends and uses the insight in addition to his intuitive work NLP, hypnotherapy, applied kinesiology, reconnective therapy, and more. And this is intriguing to me because since many people spend so much of their lives wondering what to focus on, what they so-called should be doing, and trying to discover what their life path is, it also is interesting from the aspect of, can we shift into what we truly want to be regardless of what we are given to work with? I've always felt that this is something we could benefit from learning to work with more and help people find at an earlier age in life, because there's so many questions that come to mind when I think about this. And, I think about how would life be different if we could start focusing on our gifts and talents early on instead of being forced to delve into many things that are unnatural for us. Would we naturally fall into success if our focus was put on our natural skills? Would we be happier following our natural skills earlier on instead of living a great deal of life feeling lost or trying to find what feels right to us? I have to wonder how this would play into our soul and spiritual processes. And I could see that there's many points that could come up with this. After all, does the soul or spirit need the discovery process? Or is it happier just being put on its path right away? I wonder how closely our DNA skill set matches what our soul longs for. In areas, for example, such as Germany, they are told what they will study based on assessments of their skill sets. Yet in talking with some young college students a couple of years ago, they expressed that it wasn't really what they wanted to be doing and that their heart and desire was in something else. So what are your thoughts about how DNA affects you? Do you believe you can change your DNA? Is DNA your soul and spirit aligned? Are they all together working on the same page? This week, our guest focuses on a component of compassion that is related to the aspect in my books of blind, deaf, and defensive. With this aspect, we are willing to see, hear, and open enough to learn from all situations. We are willing to truly look at ourselves and to listen to the information that is being shared with us about us, and then embracing what needs to be done according to what information that we receive. This also plays into being 100% responsible for our actions and then moving forward from our heart or spirit self. Our guest tonight helps people to really look at themselves in many different ways. I'm going to take a short break, and when we return, I will have Stephen Cuoco, and he will be sharing his work with us as an intuitive publicist, how he integrates a variety of practices, and how our DNA is our book of life. The song I have for you tonight during our break is called The Chosen One. It's by Claire Hadeen. If you missed that show with her, again, it was the last show of 2012, and you can also find out more about her music, her work, and the different things she's involved with at www.clairehadeen.com. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Your eyes shine with kindness, your hair curls with joy, your heart lights the bedroom, your grace fills the sky. You are the chosen one, so bright just like the sun. You are so blessed be, you are a joy to me. Your name sings the heavens, and nature hears it too. Imagination whispers, creating life through you. You are the chosen whisper, so bright just like the sun. the heavens sing a chorus of which you are a part. They hear you when you suffer. They hold your blessed heart. You are the chosen one, so bright, just like the sun. You are so blessed be. You are a joy to me. You are a joy to me. You are the one I love, so blessed be. You are the one I chose to be with me. You are the one I love with all my might. You are my joy, you're my delight. You are the one I love, that I adore. You are the one my life was created for. You are the one I love, so blessed be. You are a joy to me.
Welcome back. You are listening to Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour, and my name is Jessie Ann Nichols George. I am your hostess this evening. You were just listening to The Chosen One, which is by Claire Hedin, and if you'd like to find out more about her work, you can check out her website at www.clairehedin.com. That's CLAREHEDIN.com. And I'd like to go ahead and bring on my guest tonight, Stephen Cuoco. He is the founder and CEO of Stephen Cuoco Intuitive Publicist Company. He brings the art of intuition into the science of public relations. He has 18 years of executive sales and creative experience. Stephen also has many years training in NLP and body language, 5 years as a master clinical hypnotherapist and applied kinesiologist. Stephen works with several high-profile and celebrity clientele, providing his skills as a book, entertainment, and music publicist. Early this year, he was involved in Fashion Week in Palm Springs. Stephen lends his 18 years of business and creative oversight to the creative and executive direction of Green Oak Press Publishing Division. He has also developed the United Angels Dream, which provides professional reconnective therapy, hypnotherapy, applied kinesiology, in order to provide clients with a variety of benefits. Stephen also hosts his own radio show, Real Women, My Story, writes for Holistic Fashionista magazine, and wrote Guided Transformation, Poems, Quotes, and Inspiration. You can find out more about his work at www.stephencuoco.com. That is at the bottom of our show description, and that's STEVENCUOCO.com. And I'm going to go ahead and get Stephen's mic opened up. As soon as the system will let me, it's going to open. And Stephen, it's great to have you here tonight on Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited.
Well, I appreciate you giving your time to us, and I know that you've got a lot happening in your life and a lot of exciting things that are going on and that you're bringing in and developing. So what I'd love to do is to start by having you share some of your background leading up to the work that you're doing now, and who's Stephen about? Share some of that with us.
So where do I start? I came from a background of of a family that struggled with addiction, drug and alcohol, as well as gambling addiction. And what was unfortunate is that I never really knew my biological father. However, with having my mother, unfortunately, having a heroin addiction of all addictions, including alcoholism and everything else, it was beyond difficult to understand at a very young age how a parent would choose drugs or substances over their own child. So it was a very lonely life. Thank God I had my grandfather at the time that, believed in family and family values and wanted to give me as much nurturing and home and stability as possible. And, through later in the years, I was taken away, put into foster care, adopted by an amazing family. And what I found was not the difficulty of the transition from going from a Roman Catholic, Italian, Sicilian family into a German family. It was merging from the Roman Catholic into a born-again Christian family. And it was very, very difficult, not only on an ethnic level, but a religious, spiritual level to really fit into these worlds, because I always knew my deeper connection to who God, to who the universe is. And it was very hard to express my gifts with my biological family, because commonly when people struggle with addiction, they automatically live in paranoia and fear. And when it came to realize my gifts, I really was in a place to where I was abused, beaten, smothered, choked. It terrified them. However, it did not terrify them when they were running from cops or doing illegal activity and knew I could astral project out of my body and also go into the future. They used that to their advantage. It was okay for me to utilize my gifts and talents when it suited them, but they wanted an immediate shut-off and didn't realize that the type of gifts that I possess, you just cannot shut off. It's unrealistic. And then with being adopted, once again, I have no judgment to anybody who's Catholic or born-again Christian or any of that. The difficulty is with my family, knowing where they were at, the constant fear of Satan being around was just tumultuous. You're being told and suggested to trust and have faith and believe that you're in God's hands, which I did, but yet at the same token, my family always questioned, where's God in my life? My question is, where's God in your life? Why are you asking me that question? I mean, I was brought to you for a reason. We came together for a reason. So that question shouldn't even exist. We're here. We're together. There's love. There's harmony. There's safety. And I'm 39 years old now, and still to this day, I've come to a place to where I love both of my families. I love my parents very, very much, but I had become completely exhausted to do my best to obtain genuine love and acceptance from my biological mother, which she does, but ultimately still her addiction still to this day takes precedence over anything and everyone else, including my siblings, including her grandchildren. And with my biological parents, my father and I are on the same wavelength, but I've recently, with the Guided Transformation, the United Angels Dream, I've recently become #1 bestseller in 3 different categories with Green Oak Press as well as Amazon and Kindle, and I believe Goodreads as well. And my mother wanted me to send her my book, which I did. And a couple weeks after, I called her up, see how she was doing, and I wanted to find out what did she think about my book. And she said it seems very nice, but she didn't know where God was in the book. And I still get emotional with that because it's like, where is the acceptance? Where's the love and understanding? And I got to that place where I said to my mother, I said, I love you very, very much, but I will not tolerate this toxic attitude and thought process anymore. I said, most people, especially with a child in a background that I came from and almost did not survive, I would think most parents would be like, I'm so proud of you, and it wasn't like that with my mother. And once again, the only thing she could ask is she didn't know where God was in it. Where's God? And I said, God's in everything. He's everywhere and in everything. And, you know, once again, my question is where's God in that question? So not to go too deep, but I wanted for you and your listeners to get a great understanding that, you know, and talking about DNA, I've spent many, many lifetimes, many existences, and even in this lifetime to understand and putting the pieces together of why am I who and who am I? I always know who I am, but making even more of a deeper sense and just, once again, putting those puzzle pieces together to establish clarity, establish a greater understanding, and reasonings to know that without blame and shame, I ultimately chose my life. I chose my parents. And for me to focus on addictions or focus on judgment and ignorance or whatever it may be is not going to serve me. So it's coming to that place of absolution, that place of a greater awareness and understanding, love, and compassion, that I'm in a place to where I will always love my parents and my family, but I must keep them at a distance. And I said to both of my mothers, I said, until you heal yourself and come to a place of understanding and peace and acceptance within yourself, you are not permitted in my life. But the moment you're able to come to a place, a mutual place and understanding with me, my door is always available for you to knock on, and I will be available to open it up and consider inviting you into my home, meaning my personal space, my sanity, everything of who I am. And this was just recent, and I feel absolutely wonderful to know that I did this for me. I didn't do it for them. I did it for my own sake because I refuse to hold on to animosity or anger or anything towards them, because once again, ultimately, I chose my parents, and I know that for a fact. And if I consider them a mistake, then I am saying that the decisions and the human design and the brilliance that God has allowed me to have to create my own destiny is a mistake, and that's not going to happen. And it never has, and it's not, and it won't. It will not exist. And I like that the fact that the opportunity is still there, that they can come back home to me at any time. However, I want them to find their own healing, and I encourage them to establish their own healing. But I'm not here to save them. They've got to save themselves. All I can do is inspire, as any of us can do. So that's a small bit. If you'd like me to go further and bring you then up to more of the present, you have any questions or anything at all, or anything to say?
Well, I think that it's really interesting where you got to that point and you brought it out as that 100% acceptance. Something that I brought up that was actually connecting your work with the work I do in compassion, of being willing to be 100% responsible for things. And I think that's very challenging for a lot of people to say, I chose this abusive situation. I chose these parents who are not what I would call model parents, for example. That's a tough place. But you bring up another really good point as well, Stephen, that you came at them with this love and compassion and say, in this understanding of, I understand you have issues, I understand that you have problems, I'm not going to accept those problems into my sphere, but as soon as you're ready to meet me, in this more positive space, you're always welcome. And I think for so many people, they're so used to just shutting that door really tight and hard and locking it behind them and not leaving that other option open that allows somebody to grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where the aspect of DNA comes into the situation, because DNA is what I always say is the microchip that is within the vast computer of our spaceship, which is our bodies. And scientists have considered that we use, or there's a utilization, if I'm wording that correctly, of a very minute amount of DNA, and then we have this vast amount of junk DNA. There's no such thing as junk DNA. What I believe scientists are not saying, because it would be considered possibly fluff or complete sci-fi, like Area 51, Roswell, New Mexico situation, is that all of our memories, everything of who we are in our existence, the information's in the DNA. There is no such thing as past lives. There is, but there isn't. It is easier to say that we have them, but I would like to say there's a such thing of a past life when there is not an emotional, mental connection. Everything starts emotional to mental to physical to spiritual. In our day and age, since everything is so taboo and hush-hush, all the way down to, where scientists and military and government are limited, is because a lot of people before the 2012 shift really were not emotionally equipped to handle high levels of information. They just weren't. And now with the 2012 shift, I understand why, if I may say, people were going out of their mind, because with the 2012 shift meant is that the veil is being lifted. The limited consciousness is being lifted. That is why if you really, really dissect what's happening in this day and age, youth are either leaving this world either by their own hand or somebody else's hand. Mind you, we create our own destiny. Some people may say, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would a 5-year-old child or a 10-year-old child be in a situation predestined to be shot or to be in a car accident and leave? A lot of people that are in this world are here as a beacon, like a cell tower. They're here to hold the energy or to keep the vibrational frequency for the information to be downloaded by the gods, by the aliens, by the archangels, everyone that we see or don't see. You've got to have a sense of grounding. In this day and age, and what it has been for the past 20 to 30 years, has been a high level of drug and alcohol addictions and reckless sexual behavior. The reason why those behaviors existed was because people were not able to emotionally, on a conscious, subconscious level, go back to inception to make sense of their life. They were shut down due to fear of the unknown, due to personal grief and guilt, shame, blame. So they closed it off. And it left many, many people in zombie mode, in a dazed and confused lifestyle. And mind you, no one's here blaming or nobody's fault. It just is the way it is. But with the 2012 shift, the veil was lifted. And I've noticed throughout Canada, Mexico, throughout many parts of the United States of where I've been, is that a lot of practitioners are finding that they're not practitioners. Reiki, a lot in my field, we're becoming, in this day and age, not necessary. Holistic centers are falling by the wayside. People are showing up or not coming in. And it's because it's not that we're not needed. It's because we have fulfilled our destiny to awaken people, to awaken the information within our DNA, even to just be in someone's presence within silence will open up that door, open up Pandora's box, which is a good thing. But once again, to digress, once again, a 2012 shift, the veil has been lifted. So since the veil has been lifted, what's happening even more? There's a lot more death. There's a lot more suicide. Addictions have run even more rancid. Marriages are out of control with divorces. People are not trusting themselves enough to even hold on to relationships. This is a good thing. And the reason why it's a good thing is because people have been living through the dark cabal of the forces, of the alien forces that have been ruling the world for many, many years, that have been under contract. They're coming to their demise. And because there's no more hiding, people cannot hide anymore, and that's why this is becoming out of control. But once again, it's looking at the positive. It's best to be aware of the truth than to live in an illusion and never understand your true self. When a person is not able to understand a true self, they're going to habitually keep recycling over and over and over and over again until they get it right. We are now in a place to where a large mass of souls are just done with the propaganda and the politics on a universal level. People want their sanity back. They want to know the truth. They want to know the truth of their existence. They want to know the truth of the existence of where can we all fit in harmony and have a place of understanding and an identity. That's why we're all here, to have a greater awareness of understanding and identity. So it is our responsibility, those who are, hypnotherapists, applied kinesiologists, Reiki master, light messengers, all of us. It's now time for us, being that we've been a matriarch for so long, to go inward. We've all gone down to the white meat of ourselves of healing, but we haven't gone down to the marrow. And it is time for all of us to take a break, help those who are our clients. Take on a new client if you want that. Be there if you truly feel and resonate with the vibrational frequency that this is a mission that you're choosing in your free will to be a part of. However, at the same token, we've got to remain balanced. Because the veil has been lifted, right now the gods in the universe and our masters are doing best to balance out those that have all been awakened, that cannot hide any longer. And us who have been awakened for so long, we're even more awakened now to where now we're able to help ourselves. So once again, this is all good. This is all healthy. And now we're able to connect to what scientists say is junk DNA, which they know the truth. It's not junk DNA. It's where we hold all of our inhibitions, all of our secrets, all of our memories and experiences that we have been scared to face before. And that is why I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico right now, is because I designed at this point in time in my life, and the universe said, it is your time now. We're going to open up the door for you because now you trust yourself and we trust you. You need to go to the marrow. And when I came out here, not even within 20 minutes, I came across a shaman by the name of Rick Bastine, who's very well known out here, and he literally pulled entities out of me, entities that I created from fear, and also entities that were alien. And it was amazing how the grace of the universe brought me to this majestic place, and within 20 minutes brought me to one of the most amazing person ever, who I did not know from Adam, was able to create a safe space for me to release energy that no longer served me. Now, mind you, it was not hidden in my DNA. I was aware of these different sections and parts of fears that reside in me. However, I was not in a right space at the right time to release them until 2 months ago. So there's just so much information about all this. And once again, anything and everything that is happening in this world, we are living in the past and the present, and future all at once. There really is no such thing as past or future. Everything is always in the now, and a lot of people know this. But at the same token, it's holding strong to the fact of choice. It's being aware to know that the reason why doctors are not successful, psychologists, therapists, successful to the point to where they're able to say, I have clients that I don't have to prescribe prescriptions or psychotropic or I believe it's SSID or SSRD drugs to, is because they only can go to the emotional, mental root of a problem,
and
of
this is
what is stored in that DNA.
And it is interesting because it's hard for people to sometimes conceptualize, I think, that we are in all of these spaces at one time. And it's interesting because what I see is I see the roles shifting along the way. Like, for example, psychiatrists and things, and instead of prescribing drugs, they're moving more into this branching of the spiritual and the psychology areas. We're seeing more and more of the light workers, the Reiki masters, the energy healers, and all of these people shifting from doing the work for people to teaching people to do it themselves, because now they're actually ready to receive that information and to take hold and become proactive in their own process of things. I did, Stephen, have a question come up in the chat room, and the question was, would the lifted veil on a global scale lead to a catastrophe for the present status quo system? And there was also a continuation on that, disconnecting, for example, everyone from the matrix all at once, or an awareness reaching an apex that maybe causes the catastrophe?
Absolutely not. And the reason why, once again, to go back to what I had said earlier, is that there are people, that are in this world, that are angels, that are the beacon of light, that are here to balance that energy, okay, to either magnify or demagnify that energy. And so, once again, it's not only that everything starts emotional, mental, physical, spiritual. One of the most important and fabulous things that Jesus has taught everybody is that when you think it, feel it, believe it, that's the Trinity. To manifest it is the divinity. So power in numbers. It takes only a million people. Oh, yeah, sure.
When you think it.
Yep. When you think it, feel it, believe it, is the Trinity. Manifesting is divinity. That's divination. So let me collect my thought and get into this moment here. When you bring in the fact of mind, body, soul, think it, feel it, believe it. You think it's in the head, feel it would be in the gut, believe it would be in a heart center, depending on the person. It depends on their human design, and it depends really on the structure of their psyche, their endocrine system, their hormones. There's so many components. There's 7 billion people in the world with no less than 7,000 opportunities, programs, situations for each and every individual, and that's graciously saying 7,000. So when I work with somebody, someone can go to see a Chinese therapist, go to an acupuncture and everything. We have all the charts of the chakras. We have charts of the meridians. We have charts of the acupuncture points, and that's a basis. But everybody's cellular level, they're depending on what's stored in their DNA, what's activated or not activated. There are so many millions to possibly even be billion scenarios to each person of what would be within myself, and to think it, feel it, believe it, the heart, the mind, gut, and heart. It could be reversed. You could think within your gut, feel within your head, and believe in your heart, or vice versa. if I go into deeper, it would take up too much. But once again, it's understanding the person, understanding their human design, understanding what's activated in their DNA and what's deactivated. And mind you, really there's nothing deactivated because the body never lies. And with studying body language in NLP, I not only listen to a person when they speak, I look and watch and see how their body speaks to see if there's any contradictions or synchronicity within that. So to go back to answer what was asked before, it's a beautiful question, a valid question, and a very important question. However, we're still here. I believe the light is going to prevail. And what I mean by the light is going to prevail is that proof is in the pudding that we are still resilient. People are still coming to a place of acceptance and awareness. Light workers and light messengers and a lot of matriarchs are really saying, you know what, I'm going to start to take time for me. What will tip that is if those that are in a holistic community were to decide stay in the program of, I'm going to continue to take care of everybody else and not myself, then there would be an alarm. But I'm not seeing that. I literally have been throughout, once again, Mexico, many parts of the United States, as well as Canada, and it is all over the place. Practitioners are really, really understanding and coming to a place since the veil has been lifted to realize that within their dilemmas, within their problems, within their fears, they've got to do something. Because if they don't, it's not that the world's going to come to a demise. They're going to they're just going to move to another level. Either they're just going to go into a corner and hide, or they're going to go somewhere. But the universe is not going to allow anyone to deteriorate unless they choose to say or have a crappy attitude and be like, you know what, I'm going to forget about myself and throw in a towel. People have really, really, including myself, have got to be careful, once again, of how you think, feel, and believe, because, once again, when you put enough belief into something, you're going to manifest it. If somebody believes enough that they're stupid because they were told their entire life they were stupid, you've got to come to a place to exercise a choice of, am I going to believe what was told to me my entire life, or am I going to think, feel, and believe within myself? In this time, I encourage everybody. A lot of people go out of themselves to focus, to meditate, to concentrate. That's a no-no. Since the veil's been lifted, stay within yourself. Stay within your aura, within your energy, between between the physical body and, depending on how far your energy's going out. Just stay as close and within your home as much as possible. And that's for everybody in this day and age. It is not necessary for us to astral project and to tap into somebody and leave our energy to do that. That's what our auras are for. That's what hormones are for. We speak hormonally, bodily, way before the mouth ever opens. So once again, it's paying attention to your surroundings, paying attention to who you're with, honoring what you're feeling. If you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go to the grocery store at 2 o'clock, and then you're getting a feeling, I shouldn't leave the house right now, honor that. If you're thinking about having a dinner party and you're inviting a couple people, but a couple of your other friends don't get along with a couple of your girlfriends, don't invite them. It's about being very, very responsible to aligning yourself with the vibrational frequencies to where you are at in your life. And if something doesn't feel right now, it doesn't mean it's not meant for you. It just means that it's not vibrationally aligning. But it could within 15 minutes. It could within 2 days. So there's no point in getting discouraged, because if something is not working for you, it's saying it's not healthy. And if it's easily smacking you right in the face and saying this is not healthy for you, then you're in a great place. You're not in confusion. You're not being deceived. You're awakened. And a lot of people are not seen as a positive. We're in a society to where everybody wants everything now. Quick. Get that quick texting. Get that quick Facebook post done. Do this, And I'm going to tell you, to go from the East Coast to the West Coast, I really have no words unless they're in frustration of what it's like to maneuver with that. But I'm going to tell you, I got, if I may say, a great kick in the butt. And it served me well to know that it is time to slow down. Now, I'm not saying slow down to where, like in New Mexico, they have a saying here that this is the land of mañana, meaning the land that it'll get done tomorrow. To be quite honest, it's the land of getting it done next month. And that's the vibe that's out here, because with the shift change, everything is much more exaggerated. The East Coast, I'm from the East Coast. I love the East Coast, but people are just angry out there and even more in a rush. And to the point to where I used to have tons of dinner parties, and it got to a point to where I didn't have parties anymore. I stopped having get-togethers. I got so upset with my friends because I'm like, you live in Pennsylvania, and yet you pass my exit in New Jersey to go in Hunterdon County every day, and you can't stop in to say hello to me. Everybody out there is in such a rush and just so scared and self-absorbed to where I was glad I left. Where's my family? Where's my friends? No one's calling me up asking me, hey, do you want to go out for a cup of coffee? Do you want to get together for dinner? Nothing. And it was very difficult to bring people together. But coming out here to the West Coast, there is a big sense of community. And I see people have barbecues and dinner parties and do a lot of family stuff. But the flip side of it is that here a lot of what I've seen on the West Coast is I've seen a lot of relationships, whether gay, straight, or bi. A lot of people are just out there and they're just being open to be with other people. Commitment is just basically non-existent out here. I don't know why I'm discussing this. Sometimes I bring up stuff for some reason. The universe has it, whether it's, this is going to inspire somebody or many people with your show. But it's, once again, it's finding the balance. And I'm saying this from experience without judgment. The contrast between the East Coast and the West Coast, there's a lot of positiveness, but because the veil has been lifted, there's a lot of fear. People are fearing trusting others. They're fearing not accommodating their husbands, their wives, their lovers, and thinking, let's spice it up. When you're reckless and expelling your energy and freely opening your home to whomever it is without really, really considering who and what are you opening yourself up to, especially knowing that people have spirits and aliens and demons and poltergeists and chameleons attached to them, you got to be careful of who you invite into your home, not only around and within your body, but also your physical home. So does that mean people should be paranoid or nervous? Absolutely not. Just pay attention to the compass. Pay attention to the beacon of what your body is telling you inward and outward, and you can't go wrong. And on that note, I feel like either another question or something.
And this is also, I think, coming around, too, where for so long people have been so focused outwardly, and now we're making the shift to focus inwardly, and they're a little lost with that. They're still trying to grasp with that pleasing outwardly instead of taking the inward journey, which is about being secure with yourself, trusting yourself, these sorts of things, versus trying to obtain it outside of themselves. And, there is a lot of talk out there that the DNA is a catalyst for some of these negative energies to come through, that they're triggered through things like computers and cell phones and these different frequencies which we rely on. And they say, you can literally walk around, you see people, they literally look like a zombie because of the programming that's going into them. I think one of the key programming words I heard recently was smart. And so they have smartphones, smart this, smart that, and that's one of the key programmings for control through the DNA. And the other thing that I see come up, and I don't want people to get to where they're just worried about every little piece on everything, but that, we were given free will as a tool. The divine gave us free will as a tool, which means that free will can cause things to be triggered or not triggered in that DNA and come out by the choices that we make.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts?
And this came as you were speaking, and thank you for sharing. What I've been told and witnessed and found in subliminal programming is a lot of people say, we're here to serve. But I'm going to honestly say we're not here to serve others. We're here to serve ourselves. And the reason why is because we are a reflection of other people. You and I are a reflection of each other. And if I choose to not serve myself first, to understand myself down to the core, to be able to understand you, I will never truly be able to serve you. So what am I serving? An illusion? A fallacy? A false sense of security? And that's what it is. And once again, what I'm saying is all good because it's going to the marrow. It's cutting through the fluff and getting down to what the truth is about. No matter how people feel about things, it's about honoring yourself of what feels right for you. Because if you're not serving yourself, once again, another thing, not to bring up, actually, I'm not going to apologize. To bring up Jesus, he was one of the most brilliant gods, a god and a human, a demigod. And what a lot of people sometimes are scared to realize is we do not fear our our darkness. Because if people really fear darkness, now mind you, when you remove judgment out of it, it has not a positive or a negative tonation to it. You
right.
can be just as positive in dark and just as evil in light. People fear their light. So many people are trained to believe to be of less of value, to be a servant, to be just human. We are all gods. Why is that such a shame? Why is that so scary? Why is that an abomination to say that we're gods? In my world, I was always told and read, I'm God's child. Okay. So that means I'm a god. Oh, no, that's blasphemy. How is that blasphemy? So many things are said and written that people have the gift of prophecy, people have the gift of healing. All of this stuff is in there. Why are you telling me no? Why do you want me to just be human? That doesn't make sense. Here's another thing I'm getting the feeling to say. Circumcision. Okay, mind you, once again, DNA and hormones, if people's hormone levels are imbalanced, the entire system is out of balance. And I'll get to that because that's another thing that's important. But circumcision. Why is circumcision considered dirty? Why is it considered, whatever it may be? The thing of it is why women and men are not connecting, and why women sometimes either go into a sense of numbness or they wonder why the man is just doing his business and then going to sleep. There are millions, if not more, hormones within the skin that's around the male genitalia. And the thing of it is when a man becomes circumcised, you are not only you are literally demasculating him, but not only demasculating him, saying that correctly, you're taking that part away from him. The male genitalia needs to stay fully intact because that's where the hormonal, psychic, subliminal connection comes when the man and the woman come together. Back in the olden days, the Dark Cabal, the aliens, the Anunnaki, and other races knew that on a human level, that if they can sever that hormonal, subliminal, psychic DNA connection between a man and a woman, they knew, once again, you sever or somehow put a virus or a blockage in that connection. Once again, what is it? All hell's going to break loose. You got complete, or if not, close to disconnection. So I'm not saying to not circumcise your child. If that's part of your religion, that's part of your belief, go right ahead. But I'm going to honestly say it is scientifically proven, and it is spiritually, or say energetically proven, that when a man becomes circumcised, you are forever taking away and robbing him of his true masculinity, not only on a sexual level, but a polarity level. There is a masculine sexuality and masculine polarity. Sexuality is a physical identity. Polarity is the energetic, hormonal, DNA connectivity. Just like with the acupuncture, you have the conception vessel, which is the feminine that runs from the base of the nose down to the groin, and then you have the governing conception that goes from the nose, I believe the tip of the nose, all the way back down to the coccyx, which is masculine. It has nothing to do with sexuality. It's polarity, female-male polarity. So once again, that was part of the politics of the taking away of power. And once again, it was used, well, this is a religious thing or whatever it may be. No, it's not. That's an excuse. The truth is it was done by the dark forces that knew it was a way to cripple humans. It was a way to cripple relationships. And that's why circumcision exists. Now, I'm not here to convince anybody of this, but it's something that I believe in research and what I've been taught. It's what I believe to know is to be fact, and nothing is proven differently because, once again, I've seen in tons of my friends that are in marriages or have heterosexual relations, there is a disconnection, a hormonal DNA cellular disconnection. And no matter how the passion is, somebody is taking a loss. Somebody's not connecting there.
I've seen that as well. I've seen people oftentimes not be able to hold commitments or different things, all kinds of things go crazy. And so there is this huge hormonal connection, and this is really fascinating because I think, for any of us to question whether God is in us or not, I mean, just the whole way our DNA works and that aspect that has created us, you can't deny God being within. And definitely, when you talk about taking care of or serving yourself, and serving yourself, that's not about being selfish. I wanted to clarify that for anybody that might be confused in there on that. But it is about serving your God self.
Or if you like to say, serving would be the same thing as saying honoring. It's like like the what is it? The body of Christ, the temple of God is inside of you. Once again, it's all about interpretation. It's not about right or wrong. Okay, judgment has got to be removed out of it. People are too programmed to want to define things. There needs to be. It's not necessary to define anything because when you define, what does define mean? It means to bring down, to constrict, to limit. It's to think without limit. And once again, there's no blame on anybody. You've got to learn, or let me rephrase that. It's necessary to learn many, many, many things because when you're able to learn much and have many options and many choices, you have infinite knowledge. So why blame the government? Why blame the churches? Why blame religion? Why go and categorize something? So if somebody has conviction towards an organization, a government, whatever it is, they served you. Because you were able to resonate and feel within that think it, feel it, believe it, within that gut, that heart, that mental response, okay? Those attunements, those abilities, those gifts of those inner beacons to say, this doesn't feel right for me. And without judging you and saying you're wrong, why not just say you have your right to your choice? Because what does the person know about that person's experience? If somebody's in this world as a priest, as a robber, as a mother, as a father, everybody has a reason as to why they're here. If somebody's in this world and they're a child molester, once again, I'm just saying this hypothetically, I'm not making reasons for the behavior. But say hypothetically somebody's a child molester. Who's to say that within their DNA they were shut down, locked, and we're not aware that within their previous life or life experience, life or lives, that they were raped or murdered or something happened and they came back in this life to learn something, or because they defied their own inner God self and decided to come back angry. I know within my life experiences and why God has me back here is I was asked to come back to help serve and awaken people. But in the midst of that, that's not the root. That's not the true emotional connection of why I'm here. I'm here because I was still angry with God. I was still angry in life because I had let go my children and I had let go of my relationship, my marriage, to serve the higher, greater purpose. And it makes sense that when you come across somebody who says, I'm fed up with all this, I'm done doing this, I'm done doing that, pay attention to the words. Because when someone starts speaking, that's their DNA. That's the message that's coming out from subliminal into action, into consciousness. So when someone starts ranting and raving and going off the wall, being like, I'm fed up being used, I'm fed up being lied to, I'm fed up being taken advantage of, their DNA is speaking. Because it's an unresolved issue, whether it be in current life or past life or whatever it is, it's an unresolved issue. And the message is coming out loud and clear. And I did that a lot when I was younger. And I realized what it was is because I still blamed God in the universe of how dare you say that I'm going to do something great for the world and I'm going to help others. But where am I helping myself by letting go of my security? In this lifetime, I have not been able to hold relationships. I've barely had sexual and personal and intimate relationships with somebody else besides friendship or family. I've tried. But I know in my heart that my family may be, not maybe, but is in this world. Is it the original family that I feel passionate about? Who knows? But I know my son and my daughter and my spouse is in this world and is in this lifetime. And I struggle at times with the frustration knowing and sensing I'm close. But I know if I do not honor/serve myself to get to that place, I am not going to be in the right harmony, the right vibration to be with my family again if I'm still holding on to blame and grief and guilt. Those were the three things I held on to, and that's why I came back to this world, to not only exonerate and absolve my own fears and pain, but in order to learn from that, to resonate with those that are brought to my path, to help them/serve them as well. So really, we're not serving. We are, but we aren't. The real interpretation is we are enlightening. We enlighten. We awaken.
And we're all doing that for each other. You know, we're all doing that for each other. We're all helping to trigger those enlightenments. I mean, you know, we still have to learn the lessons. We still have to get the experiences. And yet at the same time, you know, each person that's around us is helping us get there. Whether it's pleasant or unpleasant in that process, they're helping us get there to that space. And I think that's an important thing. And it's kind of like the message I had at the beginning of the show that says, it's really about picking yourself back up. It's not about letting yourself be defeated. It's not about just staying down there and wallowing in your misery and your guilt and your anger and your hate and all those other things. And you brought up some things where the more we try to define things, sometimes I think the more trouble we get into, the more separation we're creating from each other, the more we're separating ourselves off. Whereas if we just look at things for what they are, because in the scheme of things, what's right for one person might be wrong for somebody else, and vice versa. So you can't say that the thing itself is right or wrong. It's a matter of whether it works for you or doesn't work for you. And those gut feelings, I know what you're talking about, because they hit us like a ton of bricks, and you just know, I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm not supposed to be here in this space. And yet we get so hung up and so afraid to let it go and just release it, because we feel, for whatever reason, it might be a job that we hate or something, and yet we feel like we can't let it go because we can't pay the bills without that. It's fascinating when we, when we delve into these pieces. So DNA is the book of life, as you refer to it. How can people really use more of that aspect to know what direction? And part of it is, I guess, where I was headed to was when you get those big gnawing things, we're usually looking for an answer of what direction to head or where to go. And we get that kind of punch in the stomach or that drop in the heart or things like that tells us this isn't the right direction. I mean, we've got an answer right there. As you say, when we listen to the body, the answers are there if we'll just listen to them. But how do we start to read that book of life? How do we start to read our DNA?
Two simple, easy scenarios. One, does the information feel enlightening and empowering, or is it from fear? Both will serve you. Let me explain. If I'm going to just be personal. It's always the best. Growing up, I've never been confused about my sexuality. To be quite honest, I was calling upon what I was going to say earlier. However, this came up to say. I never define myself as being gay, straight, or bi. It's absolutely ridiculous to concern yourself about sexuality. Humans are only designed, not only is the beauty of being male and female fabulous, because it helps differentiate not just sexuality, but once again, the polarity, masculine and feminine. But women and men are meant to procreate because, once again, where's the soul supposed to go? It needs a body. It needs to have some type of host. So it can come here to illuminate, to inspire, to do all the things that we are doing as angels. It takes 13 weeks to determine a baby's sex. It's scientifically proven. Another thing that's proven, angels do not have a sex. They're asexual. So within the first 13 weeks, while we are in our mother's womb, we are asexual. We are female. And just because within the 13 weeks or so the body develops a genitalia doesn't mean anything. It only means that there's some type of hormonal DNA hormonal connection to that, a reason why we are male or female sexuality-wise. But once again, growing up, what I really faced even more when I was adopted is there was not one pastor that did not question my parents to the well-being of my sexuality and whether or not I was going to go to hell. I remember I was 11 years old, and a pastor came out from behind a door somewhere. I was in one of the one section of the church, and I was just disgusted and fed up of what I was listening to. I felt it was just rubbish. Okay. So I remember later on I was just sitting of what usually is used as a Sunday school, and I just went and zoned out because I had to go to church. If I didn't go to church, my parents threatened I was going to be grounded left and right, so on and so forth. He came into the building, and I became immediately uncomfortable with him, and I went to walk out, and he grabbed my right arm. And he said, "Stephen, I want to talk to you." And I said, "Okay." So we went into the office. I was perplexed. I'm thinking, oh, my God, I hope this guy's not going to molest me or try to do something. So I made sure I guarded myself. And he asked me, he goes, "Do you believe you're going to go to heaven?" And I said, "Yes, why?" He asked me then, "Do you know what hell is like?" And I said, "I heard about it." But I said, to be quite honest, I believe heaven and hell is here on earth. I don't believe it's in the core of the earth or just up in the sky in the fermentation, if I believe, if memory serves me correctly, of what they call that in the Bible. I said it's here on earth. Heaven and hell is here on earth. And he said, "Do you believe homosexuality is a sin?" I said no, because I said God doesn't make mistakes. My mother always told me God doesn't make mistakes. And I asked him why. Mind you, I was 11. And
right.
He wanted to know if I believed if I was going to go to hell. And I said, absolutely not. I went and told my mother, and I will honestly say I was shocked for a born-again Christian. She became so furious, and she hunted that pastor down so quick and said, "Who do you think you are?" questioning and asking my son and making it sound as if in questioning him of going to hell. So once again, to go back to answer your question, what all of that means is I know within my soul who I am. I know why there is male and female sexuality. And once again, God does not make mistakes. None of us as demigods make mistakes. The reason why is because everything is strategically and brilliantly aligned without claiming it's evil and good. It's brilliantly aligned for us to resolve and absolve our fears. And even in a worst of what someone would deem, whether somebody's a child molester, a murderer, a rapist, or whatever it is, it's looking for the light as to why. That is beyond difficult, and I will say within myself, I feel a little uncomfortable saying that, but there are times you just got to cut through the punch. And it's not about taking risks, it's about being realistic. It's about having an open voice. Not everybody can keep quiet. And once again, I'm not saying that behavior is correct. But I've learned even in life, those who proclaim to be the most innocent and pristine and godlike have violated and destroyed my trust and my faith, even to the point to where it did inflict and affect my relationship within the God that's within me and the God that's in the universe. So I go on what feels correct to me. And that's what I encourage everybody to do. When you believe and know you're not a mistake, whether you're gay, straight, bi, whether you want to have children or you don't want to have children, whether you're an animal lover or not an animal lover, there's a reason for all of that. Embrace it, accept it, and understand it. And when you are in a place of freedom and absolution and comfortability and love and acceptance, then everything was worth it. There's no such thing as mistake. And if it happens to where you're in this lifetime again and things are not going your way and a person or someone is feeling absolutely angry and feels volatile and thinking and having thoughts that are, some people would say, are dangerous and unhealthy, or maybe you belong in a psychiatric ward or on psychotropic medicine, the thing of it is thank God the awareness is there, no matter how comfortable it is, that the person is not in a healthy, suitable place. And this way they're able to say and choose, do I want to help myself because I do not feel balanced? I do not feel safe. That's the answer. It's paying attention and listening to what you feel and honor it, not dismiss it. Once again, doctors and therapists, and this is not to blame, they are trained to go to the emotional, mental root of a situation and then prescribe you the Zoloft, the Xanax, the Paxil, the Percocet, the Depakote. You've got to get to the pure emotional state. And a lot of people are scared to go there. Is that anybody's fault? No. But at the same token, choose to take ownership of your own emotional state of being and do what feels honorable and right for you. And anywhere and everywhere, if you're feeling restless, you can't sleep, you're getting migraines, you're getting body aches, your body's deteriorating, it's because the body is holding disease or dis-ease. The body never lies. And when someone is illuminating disease or dis-ease, the emotional state, the DNA, the hormonal emotional state of the DNA is imbalanced. Thank you. The universe answered my prayer. This is number one importance and a huge connection to DNA. 3 things, once again, that will cause someone to be completely emotionally imbalanced, because there are times that past lives or whatever the situation may be, or even a psychic hormonal connection with others may not always be the answer. 1, always find out what your hormone levels are. The moment that anybody's hormonal levels imbalance, the entire emotional self of the person is imbalanced. So many people are diagnosed with schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia, OCD, bipolar, and it is a misdiagnosis. They show symptoms of those behavior traits, but if the hormone levels are out of whack, you're going to come across bipolar, schizophrenic. Next, your alkaline levels. I believe the alkaline levels should be around 7.2 for most people. So now if your hormone levels and alkaline levels are imbalanced, once again, the entire cellular DNA self, hormonal self, is now off balance, which will cause psychotic disruption. And number 3, eat to your blood type. I'm not saying that everybody has to. Once again, it all depends on your DNA. It depends on, what you've acquired from mom and dad. But whether you're, like, I know people that are A-type. Myself, I'm A-type. So more carbohydrates and more vegetables and fish. I am not supposed to be eating lots of meat. I believe the O family can get away with eating lots of meat. But once again, it all depends on body mass, whether you have cholesterol, blood pressure issues. But the 3 main key things is to know your hormone levels, know your pH balance, and eat your blood type. You do your best to do all 3 of those, incorporate also exercise. You will become as emotionally and mentally balanced as possible. Once those 3 are understood, if somebody is still experiencing emotional and emotional mental imbalance, then there's something within the DNA, the cellular DNA, that must be addressed. Then that's where it comes into a past life issue or a present life issue. Does all that make sense?
It does, and I had somebody while you were talking, they were wondering they phrased it, how to correct DNA programming. For example, could meditation techniques be used via cellular level? I'm thinking more that would be a conscious choice to change something, and I think, again, we get these awarenesses to give us the opportunity to choose to change or stay with it.
Well, may I say something real quick, if I may? This is where NLP comes into play, and I'm not meaning to correct. This is empowering. The word change is a virus word. That's not a real word. We transform. So so anytime, and once again, when we speak inward and verbalize, we are not just speaking to our DNA, we're speaking to our entire cellular hormonal self. So for everyone, if someone says, I need to change, 2 virus words, need and change. If someone were to say, I choose to transform, how does that sound? I choose to transform. Say it yourself within your head or out loud. I choose to transform. Think it, feel it, believe it. Feel that vibration within your body and around your body. I choose to transform. It's light. It's airy. It's freedom. But to say, I need to change, it's a dictation. To say I need means I have no choice. And then to say change, you're saying to yourself on a cellular DNA hormonal level, there's something wrong with you. Mm-hmm. I need to change. No, I choose to transform. And mind you, if someone chooses to have sessions with me or calls me up and, they would like to have me really listen. Once again, it's all about listening of how they speak of themselves, their life, and their world. These are key elements that I do. I don't always have to be in front of a person to know how a person's body language is. It's paying attention to the vibrational frequency, to how a person is sounding, because once again, how a person speaks, you're speaking to your DNA. When you speak to your DNA, your body is also, once again, DNA is in cells. Every single cell within the body has DNA, has blood in it. So you're speaking to your entire cellular cell. So within the vibrational tone, to the words that we use, I can still tell how your body language would be. So if someone were to say, I need to change, I know you're in a defensive position, whether it be legs crossed, arm covering something, or maybe you're touching your head, whatever it is, it's a closed, non-open-ended statement. It's a dictation. But to say I choose to transform, I know somewhere in the cellular, molecular DNA self, you're open. Because, once again, vibrational frequency, tone, and body language never, ever, ever lies. Because the body has to respond to the DNA. And the DNA has got to respond to the body. It's got to have a mutual marriage. Because if there's not a mutual marriage, then that's where, once again, the other diseases that come into play, leukemia, cancer, emphysema, that's where people will attract AIDS, sickle cell anemia, hepatitis. People just do not get diseases because they just get diseases because, they had a reckless sex life. No. The DNA was programmed to be a certain way and to act and react through your body. So once again, it is a virus. People attract and attain to what they are attuned to and where their vibrational frequency resonates. And if a person, and like say HIV or AIDS, that's definitely connected to past life. A lot of times when a person is dealing with HIV or AIDS or full-blown AIDS, it's usually hate to oneself or hate to God. Even if someone were to hate or be angry with God or the universe, it's the same to go back to that. They're hating themselves. It also could be an issue with men or women. There's many different scenarios when it comes down to diseases. And a person, once again, will attract, just like deer. Deer have an innate sense to know what to eat in a world. You put a human out in a forest or in a wilderness, they're most likely 9, if not 10 out of 10 times, they're going to eat something, especially if they're starving, and not know if it's poisonous. But a deer will. A deer will know what the most purest type of vegetation there is to eat in the world. They do not make mistakes. Why? Because their DNA is programmed to know how to thrive and to know what to vibrationally and on a that type of level to know what to draw to and what to allow that vibrational, hormonal, cellular to be drawn to them. So if a deer walks up to a tree and starts eating a tree, the deer's DNA on a cellular level is communicating with that tree before it even approaches it, and a tree is communicating psychically on a cellular, molecular level to the DNA saying, I'm good to eat. And that's the same thing with people. That's why people attract jobs, situations, love, relationships, friendships, because it's already destined. However, it can be altered. But that's where I encourage everybody, and I'll let you speak, Jesse, thank you. That's where I encourage everybody to be very, very careful to the practitioners you meet. When people go and run around from practitioner, what you are doing on a DNA, cellular, molecular level is creating confusion, fear, and doubt. Know what you want. Know what feels comfortable to you. The same thing that comes down to herbs. I am not dismissing there are valuable herbs in this world. However, it creates a psychological program that says you are not in power of your life. So there is no difference in handing somebody a prescription of Xanax or a prescription of valerian root. It's the same cellular program that you are saying to the DNA, you are in disempowerment. Here's a prescription, or here's a piece of paper. Go to Walmart or go to your local health food store, buy the valerian root. When a person touches that physically and brings in the think it, feel it, believe it, they're saying, oh, my God, I'm not in power. Oh, my God, I'm in disease or dis-ease. Oh, my God, I've got to rely or trust to take this, because, mind you, you've got to make a conscious choice to say, I'm going to trust to take this drug, even herbs, is still a toxin. It's all toxins. To say, I'm going to trust this and it's going to cure me or help me. It creates a dependency. So you're programming your DNA to say, I'm going to be dependent on this valerian root. I'm going to be dependent on this chamomile tea. Choose to want to take it. Choose not to become dependent on it. There's a huge difference, because what you say to yourself, you're saying to your DNA, and once you say, think it, feel it, believe it, you manifested it and you programmed it. Now you got to go and deprogram it. And if a person lives years and years and years on end, and they're wondering why one day, why am I a drug addict? Oh, my God, they forgot when they became emotionally, mentally, and physically dependent on a cellular, molecular level within their DNA, and they said to themselves, I have to take this in order to survive, or I'm going to die or live with disease. Once again, DNA, everything starts first with DNA.
So do you have a real quick tip here, because we're starting to wind down with the time we have here, of how somebody can deprogram something like that, like a fear or an addiction? Is there something that they can use easily?
Simple. Once again, to go back to what I had stated about toxins or drugs or supplementation. Choose to say to yourself, to say to your DNA, your molecular cellular self, that I choose to take this, not because it's going to cure me, but because I believe it's going to help me, because this is my choice for now, if that makes any sense. That's my psychological thinking of it. If a person were to say, I'm going to take this because I have to take it, or my doctor told me to take it, or my herbalist told me to take it, you have now relinquished your power. You have now said and programmed into your DNA that you are physically acting and reacting to a circumstance to pick up the bottle, open a bottle, pour the pill or tablet into your hand and ingest it. You're saying because my doctor told me, my herbalist told me. No, you chose to. So when you pick up your prescription, what's that?
Versus saying, for example, I choose this right now in my life. I choose to use this in my life. And when we say something like that, we can tell because, as you say, the body's going to react, and either everything's going to go, yeah, this feels like the right thing for me right now. And so I'm on board with that choice. Or the body's going to react and say, no, this doesn't feel right. My heart, it's not feeling right. My gut, it's not feeling right. And then that gives us another direction to take there. So, Stephen, I want to give you a chance here to go ahead and wrap up with that thought.
Perfect, and thank you. And once again, you not only hit the nail on the head, you hit it through the board. It's choice. Pay close attention. If there's anything that I can say simply, mind you, we're not here to live in a difficult life, no matter what people say or what people write. Life really is easy. It's about, once again, utilizing and incorporating and graciously and lovingly embracing the word choose or choice. We choose to refrain from using the words I have to, I need to. You can say I choose or I want. I want to take this supplement. Perfect. But choose, I encourage you to choose not to say that my doctor told me I had to take this. My acupuncturist said I have to take this or else. Transform it. And also keep in mind there's no such thing as change. You transform. So you're not changing, you're transforming. So everything that everyone does, keep in mind it's to what you choose and it's to what you want. And in order, and to clarify once again, Jesse, to your question, in order to transform your DNA programming, choose. Always keep in mind to speak consciously and subconsciously in choice and in want. And it's no different than, to put it simply, when a parent says to a child, don't touch that stove. The word don't is a virus word. There's, just to say this real quick, there's five simple top 5 virus words in the world. Try. Trying is lying. There's no such thing as trying. You either do or you don't. Should. You can't should something. Can't. Once again, you do it or you don't. Try, should, can't, won't. You will. We always have a will because we're gods. That's why we're here. We're here for a mission, for our will. So can't, should, try, won't, and pretend. To never pretend to do anything. The conscious self, the conscious mind, the prefrontal cortex, yes. If you were to say, I can't do it, I would ask you, believe you can do it. I am now bypassing the conscious self and going to the subconscious self, which is the true God self, the true inner child. So keep in mind, once again, if you tell your child don't touch the stove, don't go out in the street, that's a virus word. What do? They do it.
Right.
Encourage to use words that are not dictative, that are not manipulative, and that are not disempowering. So always keep your emotional state of being within a place of empowerment, choice, and will. I hope that makes sense.
It does, and I think that's a great wrap-up to everything that we've been talking about tonight. And I think there's so many things that we could have delved into beyond this with your work.
Well, we can do this
I want
again.
to give you a couple of minutes here because you have some really fantastic things outside of the whole DNA stuff going on with your dream angel and angel dreams.
United Angels
Dreams and things like that. You were mentioning to me that you have some contests coming up, things like that. Is there any of those types of things you'd like to share before we close out here?
Yes. Thank you very much. My company, United Angels Dream, merged with Green Oak Press, which is my publishing company. Recently, I was approached by John Arrigo, who is the owner and director of Green Oak Press. Has been very, very inspired by what I've been doing, how I've been able to utilize my training in dentistry, chiropractic and acupuncture to really, really get down to nitty-gritty of the simple science of understanding the central, peripheral, and autonomic nervous system. So within that is we are now doing what would be a continued, like, Encyclopedia Britannica, a contest that's going to be starting July 31st and I believe going to mid-September or so. And what we're doing is I've taken many years of understanding what companies are not doing and putting it down to simple sense to how are we going to help the community? How are we going to help the public? So many people are going to schools, spending thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars on education, and you get out into the corporate world and you're being told, well, we can't represent you because you've never been published. You don't have an agent. You don't have a manager. We don't know who you are or your work. I've done away with all that. So in the first book series, which is called United Angels Dream, International Talent and Career, I'm going to represent different career categories. In this first issue is going to be art and literature. So anybody, whether you are a #1 best-selling seller, a top-notch artist, fresh out of school, whether you have representation or not, you go to greenoakpress.com, and under the section of the art and literary contest, people can enter and share with us in giving us the permission to represent them. We have marketers, advertisers, legal department, public relations officers. We are in an omni agency, meaning we're representing everything of the mass. And you can submit your literary work, and you can also submit your artwork. And what this will do is it will help people become published. So when you have the artist or you have the models and you have the chefs and sculptors and so on and so forth that want to go out there and get jobs, obtain representation, so on and so forth, if they don't sign with us, the International Career and Talent book is going to be able to share to the world internationally in over 51 countries who you are. And this way you're able to say, I've been published, I've been represented. I've worked with Green Oak Press, who has managers, who have public relations officers. So once again, this is everything I've faced in my career, that when I've gone to Penguin, Random House, Hay House, Shambhala, they all turned me down because I either did not have representation or I did not have years' worth of experience or exposure. I'm not concerned about that. I'm removing the corporate politics of that. People deserve to have the ability and availability to be able to be seen and heard. And with this book, it's not only going to be just a book, it's going to also be able to expand and broaden the people to give them the exposure that they've earned and deserve to keep their dreams and goals going, and to be able to, once again, stay and represent us or utilize their exposure that they will receive from us with this contest and go to a major corporate company, go to start their own company. So it's very important, once again, www.greenoakpress.com. Pull up Art and Literary Contest 2013, and it's very, very simple to just read it. You can enter. There is a $75 admission fee, but once again, it's not something that the company is making off of. It's something to utilize quality, not quantity, because we have graphic designers, we have web designers, we have advertisers, marketers, public relations officers that are going to work toward helping people get the exposure and get the book signing set up, do the representation, see if somebody wants to go to your website and purchase your artwork, so on and so forth. So I hope I said and simplified all of that and put it in an easy way. But once again, I've utilized everything to broaden a different way to create an opportunity that's going to help in a bigger picture, to do something that nobody is doing at all. And it's, the intellectual property of this has been secured. Our attorneys have taken everything to protect us and protect those that we may be representing. So it's a win-win for everybody. It's an impeccable and amazing investment and opportunity because self-publishing is not respected in the literary world, and I've been blessed to have 2 publishing companies pick me up. And, you know, once again, I'm where I am because of the representation to those publishing companies. There's not one person who has gone to self-publishing, and I'm not knocking self-publishing, but there hasn't been one person who has not literally paid for their notoriety or ran themselves into debt. If that's their choice, I support that. That's their decision. But at the same token, it is nice, and I'm saying this from experience, to have a company to say, I like you. I trust your work. I respect what you're doing, and I want to represent you. And that's the gift that I want to share to the world of what was shared with me. Because I never, ever thought that not only one, but 2 publishing companies picked up my book and was able to be beyond professional to get it to the #1 status to where it's at. A lot of people in a political aspect of that pay for that #1 status. And unless you get a New York Times or a Wall Street Journal on your book cover, it's paid for.
Right.
And
so
people
true.
in the industry know it. Mm-hmm.
It's true, you know, and as I've told people that are up and coming, you know, basically to get there, you're gonna buy your way there. That's how people get on those lists. Stephen, I really want to thank you for your time. We're coming down, and I'm at my wrap-up point here for things. But you have given us a wealth of information tonight. Greatly, greatly appreciated. I think really opened our eyes to some incredible concepts, and I certainly encourage people to check out your book, your work, the things that you're doing. They can all do that on your website, StephenCuoco.com, which is StephenCuoco.com. And then also, again, the contest that Stephen was talking about is at greenoakpress.com, and that's under the Art and Literary Contest 2013. So if you're interested in that, do go check it out. You can certainly contact Stephen. He's got contact information. He's got a free gift on his website as well, so you can check all of that out. And, Stephen, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here tonight.
Thank you. And if I may say, Jesse, to you and all of your amazing listeners, that if you like to collect any additional questions and want to do another show, if there's everything and anything that I can help clarify or expand on in the future, I would love to.
I appreciate it, and we'll definitely have to keep that in mind for bringing you back, because you've got all these different areas that we could delve into. Certainly. Thank you so much, Stephen. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And I just say next week we've got 7-time Grammy nominee Peter Cater on the show. He's going to be sharing his work and music with us. It's a show that you want to make sure that you're here for. My next set of books is coming out soon. Again, you can check out my work at Jessie Ann Nichols George 1. That's the #1.com. Also, I've got tons of events going on at JessieAnnNicholsGeorge.eventbrite.com. So check those out as well. You can follow up. There's some great things all through the month of August. I have some more things in the work. Don't forget that I also have a special running through the end of this month, July 31st, and that's the opportunity to receive shorter coaching and reading sessions. I'm offering a 20-minute session for $30, 10-minute session for $15. To take advantage of that, all you need to do is email me at JessieAnnNicholsGeorge1.com. And so that's through the end of this month. So you've got about a week left to take care of that or to participate in that. Don't forget that we've got several shows here on Main Street Universe throughout the week. Sunday nights we have Darren Pucare, who is a reader at Madame Laveau in New Orleans, doing spiritual insights. Monday nights is Kevin Baird walking on the sidewalk with his Horizon Oracle Journeys deck, a deck that he created, which you can take a closer look at templeofgaia.com. Tuesdays, we have Inner Wisdom with Mary Phelan. Wednesday nights is our flagship show with Daniel, Janice, and Brett. And That's called Main Street Universe. They've got a lot of different things happening there. Selena Fox will be coming up on their show. And then also now on Thursdays we have Queen Mother Amaku, and she's discussing her work with Egyptian culture. And then, of course, right here, Friday nights, Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour. This is Jessie and Nichols George. I want to thank you so much for being here tonight. I look forward to seeing you back here next week as we delve more into activating compassion. Don't forget that if you've enjoyed the show this evening, make sure that you share this with other people. They can come right back to the same link here and enjoy it in the archives at their convenience. I'm going to leave you tonight with the song Yearning For. Over and Over is also the name of it. It's by Shemshai, same group that I opened with. And thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again next week right here on Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour. May you enjoy the rest of your weekend and have an amazing week.
And if I could see what makes me blind, I would soar to the edge of my mind, and to touch what seems unreal, just to show you the way that I feel. And we are in time with time, one with the season of change inside. And we are in tune with the tune, caught in a balance of sun and moon. Oh, deep inside, the light within, shining to show you it's here to begin. When all I have is all I need, I will soar to the edge of eternity. And we see it eye to eye, one within love to be for the divine. And we're walking hand in hand, caught in the balance of God and man. Over and over, life is your lover, learning to walk just a little bit slower, whispering secrets, I bet you can't keep it. No turning back now, this time we reveal it. One to another, all will discover the essence within the most beautiful lover. Time is still turning, the love is still burning. Deep in your spirit, your heart is still yearning for. Yearning for. When all we have is all we need, all that we ask for shall be received. And we see in eye to eye, one within love to be for the divine. And we're walking hand in hand, caught in the balance of God and man. And we are in time with time, one with the season of change inside. And we are in tune with the tune of life in the circle and love in bloom. Over and over, life is your lover, learning to walk just a little bit slower, whispering secrets. standing back now. This time